everyone. It is November 16th, 2024. This is the second video I'm making today. I just had the displeasure of watching an interview with Chris Lagan. Who is Chris Lagan? Well, he's the self-proclaimed smartest man in the world, and he's getting interviewed by, I believe they're called CTMU Radio. It's a YouTube station. It's like right-wing, and they're like interviewing him. And it was the most pathetic interview I've ever seen in my life. I mean, talk about lickspittle, unprofessional, just not very good at all. And, you know, the person interviewing him, I forgot his name, but usually within his realm, he's very knowledgeable. And it seems like, you know, he can answer questions well. And I've seen him interview other people. And, you know, it seemed like he had a grasp of what he was talking about. But this time, he kind of comes off as this, like, real puny guy. Like, he's just in awe of this man. He's in love with this guy. Because, obviously, this is the smartest man in the world. But it becomes amazingly evident within about 5 minutes of their conversation that Chrissy has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. He's very much against the educational system. He wants you to know that right off the bat, because he's not a big fan of them like producing clones with the same knowledge and no one getting absolutely anywhere. There's a real reason he's against the educational system, and it's because he doesn't have an education, nor is he smart. He can go into a college room and he will get circles ran around him in any scientific like setting. He's not there. He's not even close. And again, it's pretty sad knowing that this video got so many like upvotes, because it shows how ignorant people are and how many people did not get an education. Get an education. It's good for you. It's healthy. It's important, because you don't want people like this telling you what to do. We asked him some scientific questions. He has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. He just throws out big words, which is a manipulation tactic. It's a confidence trick. He is just boisterous and loud, and he's making you believe that by utilizing these words, these scientific words, incorrectly, by the way, that he knows what he's talking about, and you're just going to have to take it from him. He is, again, the smartest man in the world. So why would he lie to you? These subjects are borderline beneath him. And you know what? Realistically, if you were going to go into a high level and advanced, like master's class, biology class, for instance, they're going to use a lot of terminology that you simply won't understand because you're not educated in that field. Well, he tries to apply this, Chrissy, to absolutely everything, which is ridiculous, and it's absurd, and it's a joke. Anyway, this interview continues on. They also ask him, like, why isn't he like a billionaire with all this intellect? He lives a humble life in Missouri on a farm, and he works at a bar. He was a bouncer for the longest time. And, well, he says, oh, the billionaires is kind of like a club, and if they see you as a threat, they more or less put up these borders to keep you far and away from everything. That's why I'm not rich. That's why I had to be a bouncer at a bar. And it was funny. I was watching like other clips of him when he stated he figured out this like AI neural network while he was bouncing at a bar, but he had to go break up a fight. And when he came back, whatever he was writing on was missing. He forgot the whole like thing. That's not how it works. He was just another con. He didn't know anything about AI or neural networks. He just knows the wording. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, he asked him about why he went a billionaire. He poorly explained why he really wasn't much of anything. Not that that's a bad thing. If he still works, he's a productive human being, but he's a con man. That's why I'm very harsh with him. I think he's pathetic again. And then he asked him why he wasn't into politics, and he said, well, I'm only into the truth. And if the politics can't offer me the truth I'm looking for, I stay away. He talks about how he had CIA agents that were very high up that he knew about that were abducted by aliens. He thinks aliens might be like in charge of X, Y, and Z. I'm going to tell you something about aliens. They very well may exist. I certainly hope that they do. However, if they have technology advanced enough to come to Earth, that means they can manipulate time and space. They're going through wormholes, so on, etc. They're going to want little and less to do with the world. Who knows? Maybe they could, pull out some natural resources, but it seems that wouldn't even be worth the cost of the trip. But they're not abducting people. They're not like, installing themselves in government. They're little Their technology, their world that they live in would be an oasis compared to where we live. It would be paradise. There's no reason for them to do it. Why would you come here if you had that much technology? So that's, again, another like BS story that he told. He told a whole bunch of other stuff, and then he went into like this right-wing spiel about, us losing our identity, transsexuals, reading books in school. It was just like pandering to the right. It was silly. And everything he said had been said before, and nothing he said was illuminating on any level. He couldn't even speak to it. It was below average, in my opinion. He's that pathetic, but he was still very much like, I'm the smartest man in the world. And he was very, very condescending to the interviewer, and just seemed condescending in general. Just a bully that needs to be put in his place. And I hope videos like this start to do that. Man. Anyway, this guy more or less just keeps on going on and on and on. And the interviewer, who's, very interested in Christianity, starts to ask him about God. And, Chris Lagan, he's like, yes, God exists. And, it's not coming from a place of faith, which I could respect. He could say, I believe in God. I believe he said he was a Christian. I believe in religion. I believe in a higher power for spiritual reasons, whatever. But he says he can logically prove it through like hints at like some mathematical formulas or something that he can do to prove this. And then the interviewer is like, oh my God, wow, really? And he then goes on and gives you a word salad. Absolutely nothing to do with math. He brings up like quantum physics to some degree, has nothing to do with that. He just talks in circles, and he's very much like, oh, but scientists wouldn't know this because they promote through their teaching an atheist view of the world, so on, etc. It was pathetic. Again, he's trying to say like, I'm too good for science, or science isn't that important. You can be self-taught like I was. You're not going to be a top-of-the-line scientist if you're self-taught. You have to go to school. That's why it's extremely hard to get a PhD. That's why very, very few humans can actually go through that process. But he comes, you don't really need that. That's the way he acts. He was also asked, like, hey, is there anyone worth reading right here, right now, in the scientific realm or in any realm? And he's like, there's no one I would read that's alive right now. You need to read Aristotle and Socrates and, a whole bunch of things that absolutely anyone would say. It was pointed out in another video, Socrates never even wrote a book. But he's just calling out, like, ancient people that we've all heard of, but we might not be totally aware of it. So, again, another manipulation tactic. We know those people were intelligent, but none of us have really read in on it. But he has, and that's what gave him this outstanding foundation and made him the smartest person in the world. Anyway, I just thought it was pathetic, and I think he's just like a pretty lousy con man. And people like that shouldn't be given like anywhere to speak unless they can totally prove what they say. And if he's not bringing anything fruitful to the conversation or pushing anyone forward, pushing us, humanity, forward, he just needs to keep his like fat mouth shut and go for a fucking walk.